A7 III with the 20mm 1.8 Sony lens versus the GoPro Hero 9 with the fixed lens, obviously. Cool. The GoPro, probably the most popular action camera out there. Since the GoPro Hero 8 came out, they've been trying to be just a little more than an action camera with the media mods, and now the GoPro Hero 9 with the front-facing screen and the selfie stick. They're trying to become more of a vlogging style camera. Now, I'm always on the lookout for new gear that is compact that I can carry around with me, but at the end of the day, quality and usability trumps pretty much everything else. So I recently grabbed the GoPro Hero 9 with the media mod and the selfie stick, which they call the Shorty, and took it for a spin. I just wanted to see if this could be a camera that I grab, throw in my pocket, and take with me when I'm traveling or out and about, and just want to have a camera that I can document things with and shoot B-roll with. Coupled now with a 20 megapixel sensor, the GoPro takes some pretty decent stills too. At the end of the day though, it is an action camera. It is a camera with a tiny little sensor in there, so your expectations should be realistic when it comes to using the GoPro as anything more than an action camera. The big thing I learned from making this video though is something that really disappointed me. The Hypersmooth 3.0 is great, but only when it works the way you need to make it work. I'll explain a little further in the video. I took the GoPro Hero 9 out for a spin to use it not like an action camera like I usually would, but more of a vlogging style camera. I took the GoPro 9 out and compared it with the A7 III. Now, obviously that's not a one-to-one comparison, but I just kind of wanted to see what I'm getting for the size and weight and the portability of the GoPro versus something that's a little larger like the A7 III. So let's check it out. So what I love about this kit is how small it is, and I can literally put it in my pocket, in my jacket pocket, and walk around with it. And if I'm not wearing a jacket, if it's a nice hot day outside, I can just throw it in my backpack. It's nice and small versus something like this guy over here, which obviously the quality is much better. This is the Sony A7 III. Hooked up to the Sennheiser MKE200. The A7 III, this is my A7 III vlogging setup. Here we go. So we have the Joby over here, one of my favorite lenses, the 20mm 1.8 Sony lens. That's the MKE200 mic, and this is the little mirror that makes the A7 III a little easier to vlog with because I can actually see myself. It's kind of a makeshift flip out LCD screen. I'll put a link in the description about that mirror, but it's a nice super simple rig by Ulanzi, or UU rig, and it's a super simple device. It costs like $30 I think Canadian, and it's wonderful. Anyway, so yeah, so check out the size of this rig. Okay, now this is not bad. This size is quite compact, not as compact as the GoPro obviously, but for this quality I take this as much as I can with me on trips, especially if it's more of a YouTube style or professional vlogging situation. I'm more prone to go with this for the quality. However, I'm not going to have this in my pocket, and in some situations I'm just not going to have it with me when I'm not actually working and I'm out and about in town or at night, or going to a restaurant or a bar or something like that. I'm not going to bring my A7 III vlogging setup with me unless I'm there for work or for a very specific purpose. But with something like this size, I would be more prone to having it with me all the time, or most of the time, especially when I'm traveling. And it's nice to have. I mean, really, I want both. I want to have both these setups with me and kind of pick and choose which one I need to use or can use depending on my situation. I really love the size of the GoPro, and I really love what GoPro has done with the Hero 9 with the front-facing screen. That's invaluable for stuff like this, obviously. You know, I don't have to carry an extra screen with me, or I don't need to get the media mod screen that comes that you can buy with the GoPro. So this is nice, but obviously you're not getting this kind of quality with a tiny little sensor like the GoPro. This is a full-frame sensor with an awesome lens on it, so it's a different beast really. But I just wanted to compare you know, if you had to take something small and something light and something super portable, the GoPro is nice. And the GoPro Hero 9's video quality is definitely better than the previous generation. What I wish GoPro had provided with the excellent media mod that makes the GoPro Hero 9 a super viable vlogging option is a headphone jack. So I'm unable to monitor my audio right now. I'm just hoping that the auto levels are working well enough. But it would be nice, instead of maybe the extra mic port, it would have been nice to have a headphone jack instead. But the mic port is nice if you wanted to add an external mic, like I will in a second. Alright, let's see what this sounds like. I'm here at a bar. It is fairly empty, but there are people and voices and music, obviously, so you'd definitely be able to hear that music. So this is the microphone through the media mod on the GoPro 9. Now I'm going to connect the Sennheiser MKE 200 to the media mod. Now I'm connected to this guy. So this is with the Sennheiser MKE 200 connected to the GoPro via media mod. So tell us about the martini that you just made.
This is a Grey Goose martini with a twist.
Now I'm gonna unhook the Sennheiser, and we are now back to the microphone on the media mod. How's your day going?
It's pretty good. Pretty slow start, but it's okay.
Now, the first thing you would really want to invest in when using a GoPro is an ND filter set. Just like you would, you know, if you're shooting video with really any other camera, you want to invest in good ND filters, whether they are fixed ND filters or a variable ND filter. Now, I'm typically skeptical with variable ND filters and just putting really anything in front of my good glass, but Polar Pro has been honestly excellent. Like this set over here, and this is for the GoPro 9 specifically.
I sometimes find myself fighting to get the lens cap off of the GoPro and attaching the ND filters on, though. It's a little bit of a struggle sometimes, but I'm finding that the more I attach and remove, the easier the connection's getting. It's getting a little more loose, I guess, but brand new, it's super tight and a little difficult to install.
For my A7 III, I'm using the Peter McKinnon variable ND filter, and really it's the best variable ND filter out there. They are pricey, but you know, you get what you're paying for. And the Polar Pro ones over here on the GoPro Hero 9 is great. I just wish Polar Pro made a variable ND filter for the GoPro Hero 9. I looked it up, and there is actually a company that does variable ND filters for the GoPro 9. It's a company called Sandmark, and I'll leave a link to the variable ND filters that they offer in the description. I haven't used it myself, but I'm definitely curious to check it out if I get my hands on them. So if you want to use the GoPro as a vlogging style kit, definitely get the media mod that has the microphone, get a set of ND filters, and the Shorty, which is a nice little vlogging stick. It's super useful, it folds up, it's nice and compact. So this guy over here, a huge benefit of vlogging with the GoPro Hero 9 is the image stabilizer. It's pretty excellent, especially with the horizon leveling. It's quite good. So let's take this for a little walk, and I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. It's nice and level. I can see myself on the screen here, which is very, very useful. And yeah, here we go. So I wouldn't be able to get shots like this in this sort of weather without the ND filter. I currently have an ND32 on there, and my shutter speed is at 1/50th, as it should be, because I'm shooting at 24 frames.
All right, let's pause here for a second. See the background? See how much it sucks? Well, that's the Hypersmooth 3.0 trying its best to stabilize the image at a low shutter speed. Little did I know that there was this issue with Hypersmooth and low shutter speeds. Hypersmooth, which is an electronic stabilization, unlike a gimbal or an in-body image stabilizer where the sensor actually moves around, it can't handle low shutter speeds. It needs a high shutter speed to be able to do its calculation and work well. Now, when it does work well, it's wonderful, but you need to crank up your shutter speed up there, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of me trying to put ND filters in front of the camera and bring down my shutter speed. So that's a huge bummer because it's going to give you an aesthetically different motion and a different look to your video, whether you like it or not. The only other option would be to turn off Hypersmooth, but you know, you want to use Hypersmooth because it is good when it works. Interestingly enough, though, I haven't been able to find much information about this problem. I did find a couple of videos that I'll link down below, and they also explain the low shutter speed versus Hypersmooth and how that looks quite well. Anyways, so I did a bunch of my own tests. I wanted to see what it looked like, obviously with auto shutter. And then I wanted to see how much I need to crank up the shutter manually to be able to get Hypersmooth to work well. So let's check it out.
All right, let's start off with a 1/48th shutter speed, which is what it should be in this sort of lighting conditions right now, as I'm shooting in 24 frames. But there's going to be a whole ton of issues happening in the background here due to the software stabilization. So Hypersmooth is probably not handling this very well. All right, 1/96th of a second shutter speed is the next one up that I can adjust manually. So this is what it looks like. I'm curious to see if it gets progressively better and then eliminated at a very high shutter speed, or is it just completely unusable till you get to that whatever high shutter speed that it needs to be at. Next shutter speed up is 1/192. 1/192 shutter speed. According to my research, I've seen people mention that 1/120 and above, it seems to be pretty good. So this is 1/192. So let's see if that software issue has been corrected here, and if the stabilization is working well. 1/192 with horizon leveling on. 5K 24 frames. And we are at 1/384, which is the maximum shutter speed that I can crank it up to manually. And this is what it looks like. I still have the ND8 filter on the GoPro with Hypersmooth 3.0 turned on, no boost. All right, shutter speed is auto right now, and we're still at 24 frames 5K with an ND8 on the camera. So one of the issues of having your shutter speed in auto is if you're walking through a bright area into a dark area and then back to a bright area, the camera is going to compensate for the difference in exposure. So that might be noticeable in your shot, and that's something to consider. Might not be something that you want. So auto anything, in my opinion, is always not a great deal, besides great autofocus, obviously. But yeah.
So there you go. It looks like when I had the shutter speed at 192 and above, the Hypersmooth 3.0 works pretty well. Anything lower than that, it kind of really depends on the lighting. But one thing for sure that I noticed is you can't use the camera with Hypersmooth at 1/48th shutter speed. But that's the reality of it. Until the technology becomes something else, this is what we're stuck with. So the best results for Hypersmooth would be at auto shutter. But the compromise, like I tested over here, would be using it at a 1/192 shutter speed or higher. So that's either 192 or 384, which is the highest option you can pick manually. Yeah, so that's what it is. I mean, overall, I did enjoy using the GoPro as a vlogging camera. I like being able to carry it in my pocket or just have it with me all the time. But this is a huge drawback. So, you know, would I be carrying this around and using it as my new vlogging camera? I don't know, maybe. But I'm starting to think that the next best option, for me at least, if I wanted a smaller camera that I can put in my pocket, is to get something like a Sony A7 III with a pancake lens, or even the Fujifilm X-T30 with a nice little pancake lens. And that gets it down to a pretty small size that's fairly pocketable. You could also make a very good argument about the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, because you're going to always have that with you in your pocket, and it negates you having to carry yet another device or another camera with you when you're not on a professional style shoot. So it could be the perfect camera for something like that. It's in your pocket at all times. It's supposedly great in low light, and you got 3 lenses on that camera that pretty much covers almost anything you need to shoot. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying out the new iPhone 12. Anyways, that's my 2 cents, and that's my experience with the GoPro Hero 9 with ND filters and using it as a vlogging camera. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And till next time, take it easy.